ho, ho, let's see what we got. Looks like we got a new toy. Let's see what we got.
A new toy? That a new toy is here?
All right, guys, welcome back. In this week's episode, we finally pulled the trigger on a new tool that we've been needing. I've wanted to replace this 2-ton hoist for quite a while. Technically, I'm not supposed to have a 2-ton hoist on there. I'm just really careful about what I lift with it. I always calculate if I'm in question. But the jib cranes are only built to lift 1 ton. That's just what I could find at the time. And so I knew when I got to the point where I could replace it, it was something that I really needed to do. Well, I have a friend who actually found this company, and he sent me the ad, and he was asking what I thought about the quality, how do they look. To be honest, I don't know. And so I went through the website, I checked out all the information that they had on this brand, and I was pretty impressed right off the bat. I didn't spend on this what you would normally spend for like a Coughing or a Columbus McKinnon or one of those, you know, top tier brands that make come-alongs and chain hoists. But so far I've been really happy with the customer service at Prowinch. So let's just go ahead and dive into it real quick. Me and Gray are going to tell you guys what we got. So we've got a Prowinch. The model is a PWR XT1-H4-VS-220. So I did get this hoist in single phase 220. The one that's up there is single phase 110. I decided to upgrade a little bit because the higher the voltage, the less amps it pulls. And I never really had an issue with that one, but if I can save myself a little bit of power, why not? I do also believe that the higher the voltage, the better they perform and the more reliable they are. So I decided that I wanted to go with a 220 hoist. So I'm in the middle of installing conduit up there. I've got my conduit stubbed out of the box. I just need to continue to run the conduit over and up where I'm going to put a box. I can't put the box and the plug in until I know which side of the hoist the cable comes off of. So that's why I want to open this first. Let's take a look at what the packaging is like. Let's go ahead and open it up. We'll see what kind of condition the actual hoist is in. Hey, don't fingers. Okay, let's see. Looks like they threw in a free hat. Looks like Grayson gets to walk around with a new hat. Woo! Okay, so we've got a manual here that has our test and inspection certificate. It's got a few stickers in there. That's pretty cool. Here's one thing that I really do appreciate that they did. They threw the pendant in, and the reason I think that's cool is I actually ordered this hoist with a radio control pendant, so it's cordless. And I guess when you buy the hoist, it comes with the pendant, so they wired everything up for me from the factory when I bought it, and they included the pendant so that later on down the road, if I decide I don't want the radio, then I can always wire up the manual one, and then I can get by until I get it fixed or whatever. So that's pretty cool. All right, the next thing in here is, looks like we've got our transmitter. I'll lift this up, get it over on the table, get all set up, and then we'll come back to you guys. All right, guys, we got our hoist set up on the table here. So what I've had to do, it ships in basically 2 separate parts. So you got your actual hoist, and then you got your trolley. And then you have to put the two together, and there's some shims, some washers, and some spacers that you need to put, just like any hoist, on the trolley so that you can center your hoist in the beam and so that you can fit the wheels on the trolley with the width of the flange of whatever size beam you're running. So for my size of beam, I had to shift some things around and slapped it together, put the pins in, and everything's going smooth so far. So I think we're ready to start plugging some of this other stuff in. There is a plug here, and this plugs the trolley to the hoist. I believe that will plug in right here. There's a plug. That's going to be it right there. So that will connect our trolley with our hoist. So Prowinch offers multiple different setups. I prefer a drive trolley hoist, and the cool thing about this one, like I said before, I ended up getting the wireless transmitter. So this is what it looks like. I'll give you an up close look at this, but there's a dial here in the middle. And this hoist is actually variable speed. So I'm able to turn it up if I want to run the hoist faster than I normally do. If I'm lifting things that aren't real heavy and I'm just needing to move a bunch of stuff around the shop, I'll probably turn that up. If I'm lifting something that's really heavy and probably a crucial pick where I need to be slow and have some finesse, then I'll turn that down. So my hoist has up, down, east, and west. There's a power button here. When I show you up close what the transmitter looks like, I'll show you how it runs. There's an e-stop on it. So I'm actually really excited to see how the variable speed thing works. I'm really excited not to have a pendant. Sometimes when you're making a pick or you're moving something around, it's really hard when you're trying to hold that pendant and move it around and position it. It'll just make things a little bit easier. It's one less thing to get in the way with having a wireless transmitter. I just noticed that it is magnetic, so I'll be able to stick it on the beam over there. Is probably where I'll keep it. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and get the rest of this stuff plugged in. Once I get it plugged in, we're ready to hang it. So I'm gonna use one of my truss lines to put a beam clamp up, and then I'll probably just use a chain fall and I'll raise that up. I'll use the same setup to pull the old one off because I don't think I have enough headroom in here to use my forklift. I'll slowly pull it off the end of the jib and lower it down, and that's the same way that I'll hang this one. So I've still got to get the plugs hooked in on this, and I still got to finish running my power. So you guys probably don't want to sit and watch that. So I'm going to go ahead and finish running the conduit. I'll show you what it looks like when I'm done. Once I get this all hooked up, the conduit all in and installed, ready to go, we'll come back and give you an update. All right, welcome back, guys. It's been a couple days. Had a quick job I had to get out the door. I did get the conduit put in. So I got my outlet up there, and then it turns. It's on the conduit rack, drops into the panel. So now that the power's in, we're ready to get this up on the beam and test it out. So I did wire in my plug on the hoist. I've got 2 more plugs I need to wire up on my cable that's attached to the jib. So I'll do that. But before I do all that, I want to walk through this hoist with you now that I've got it assembled, and I want to kind of show you guys the craftsmanship, some of the things that I really like about the way it's built. There's some pretty intuitive things on it. So let's just walk through this and I'll show you guys what I think. Okay, so right off the bat, this one comes with a couple limit switches on here, and I believe those limit switches are so that when it's traveling down the beam, you can actually set a little limit bracket so that when this trips, it'll keep the hoist from bumping into your end bracket on the jib, and also keep it from running into your cross beam right there. So pretty cool. There is a QR code that's included on the hoist, and that's for your warranty, your owner's manual, all that stuff. So that's pretty easy. The oil, the fill plug is right here. It does come with oil. One of the other things I really like is it's got these side rollers, and that keeps it centered on the beam. So as long as you shim it correctly, these rollers are going to be tight up against the flange on your beam, and that'll keep it centered. So I really like that. The craftsmanship of the wheels, all the brackets, the hardware, everything looks pretty dang good. It's got rubber bumpers on the end here. It does have a fan to keep it cool. I think that's always a good thing, especially when you have electrical components that tend to warm up as you use them a lot. So there's the model number of the one that I purchased. It is a 1 ton, if I didn't mention that before. There is a plug here. This plug on the bottom attaches this box for the trolley to the hoist so that they work in correlation with each other. So there was that plug. There was also this plug here, and that attaches this control box to the motor that drives the trolley. Then you have your power, which comes out of this little box right here. Something else that I did notice, this plug right here, that's for if you want to run a pendant. So where mine has a pendant for a spare, one of the other things I noticed is it's got this little ring right here. It's actually one of the screws, but it's got a ring. And that's so you can attach the cable hooked to the pendant, and that keeps you from stretching the wires or pulling the wires out of the pendant, which is a common problem with hoists. So I think that's pretty cool, pretty intuitive. There is a electricity calculator, so you can punch in whatever length you're running of cable and what voltage of hoist you run, and it will tell you what size of wire you need to put in. This is to ensure you don't undersize the wire and burn your shop down. It's been pretty easy to set up, to assemble. I think we're ready now to take the old one down. I'll swap my plugs out, and then we'll be ready to put this one up. So when we get to that point, we'll come back to you and we'll give you guys a look. All right, guys, we got our hoist up on the jib. So let's go ahead and take a look at our wireless controller here. Pretty sweet. There's a dial here in the middle, and you can actually change the speed, so it's variable speed. To be honest, for the majority of the stuff I'm gonna do, I'll probably run it on high speed. This one it's actually laser engraved. You can see I've got up, down, east, and west. There's an e-stop here, and then there's your power button. So we'll go ahead and fire this up. I'm gonna go ahead and take the e-stop off. I'll turn that on. So it says push e-stop to restore, so I'm going to hit that. Tells you the e-stop's pressed. Then I take my e-stop off, and then there's the display. So in the top left corner there, it shows signal, battery life, and then it shows how many hertz. And then I think the two dots are actually those. I believe the two dots are your limit switches. I'm just guessing. I'm going to have to check that. I don't have my little brackets on the jib yet. I've got to fabricate some little brackets that have a little trip rod so that when it goes too far, it'll trip that. But I'm pretty sure that's what that is. It is lighted when you're using it. And then if I turn the speed up, it tells you how many hertz. So if I go to full, it's 50 hertz. Now let's go ahead and we'll give you guys a look at how she runs. Okay, so something else I want to point out here before we test it. It's got a really nice hook on it. It's got a safety latch on it. It's got a 1-ton hook on it. It seems like it's really well built. Speaking of how it's built, I know that if you get on the website, it'll tell you a little bit of information about where some of this stuff's manufactured. I don't know how much of this is made in China. I do know that it says on their website that the chain is made in Japan. The Japanese actually make really good chain. Japanese make a lot of good things, but chain is one of them.
How did you do that? Shut up!
And I know a lot of the components on the inside, I believe I read on their website that a lot of the components are either German or American. So there's a lot of good components on it. Price point wise, I'll show you guys the ad right now of which one I bought and what the price point was on it. These hoists are available on Amazon as well, so that's kind of nice. You guys can get on their website. There's several videos on there that are actually pretty neat. This Prowinch brand, they've actually done some really cool industrial jobs. When I first heard about them, I was a little bit questionable just because I'd never heard of them before. You know, it wasn't like a Coughing or a Columbus McKinnon, something that you see a lot here in the US. And so I was a little bit hesitant, but as I did more research online, I was pretty impressed with what I saw. So as I did my research and I looked into it, I figured, you know what, I'll give one of them a try. So, all right, that's enough chitty chat. Let's go ahead and give this baby a rip. I'm gonna go ahead and start by running the trolley east and west. So we'll go east. It's pretty dang quiet. The trolley on this one runs a little different than it does on like a Coughing or a Columbus McKinnon. It doesn't have that lip on the outside. It actually has those rollers that keep it on the flange. And I think that's what you're hearing run. So I think the Coughing is actually a little bit quieter with the trolley, but the hoist it's no comparison. So I'll show you guys what the hoist sounds like. So we're gonna go up now. I mean, that is stinking quiet. And I really like how fast it is too. That's, believe it or not, that's actually gonna save me a lot of time, because that 2-ton coughing, it was pretty slow. And not having a pendant with a cable is gonna be so nice. So I'm pretty impressed so far. All right guys, so I just wanted to give you an update on the limit switches on the crane. I've got my limit switches in place. I'll show you what kind of system I used to attach those to the jib and how they work. Okay guys, so you can see here, I've taken one of those beam clamps for like unistrut. I bought a couple of those, and then I just bought a really long bolt and bended it at 90. That way it's adjustable. If I need to move this forward or backwards, all I got to do is loosen this bolt up here and slide it up and down the jib. So let's take a look at how it works here. So once the limit switch is tripped, then I'm pushing the button to go west. And hopefully you can hear that clicking. It's clicking, but it's not making contact because the limit switch is tripped. That will prevent you from running into the beam on either end with your brand new fancy hoist. And it will also prevent you possibly burning something up. It's just one more means of protection to protect your investment. So that's pretty cool. I've got the exact same thing on the other end. So I just wanted to show you guys the system that I came up with to allow me to be able to use these limit switches and protect my hoist. So if I hit the button to go west, it will not let me, but it will let me go east. And then if I try to go back west, now it will let me until I hit the limit switch, and now it will not. So pretty cool. I'm pretty happy with that. I just wanted to show you guys how that worked and what kind of system I'm using on my jib so that I can use the limit switches. The pendant is magnetic, so I'll probably just stick it on the beam and that's where its home will be, so I'll always know where it is. Unless my kids are out here helping, and then I'll never know where it is. So far, I'm pretty impressed. I am going to reach out to Prowinch and see if they sell a rubber protector case for it. I know that some of the more expensive, like bridge cranes, the controllers that you can get for those typically have rubber cases for them so that you can protect them, because, you know, stuff happens, people drop them. I don't want to be breaking this. So I'm going to reach out to them and see if they do have a rubber case that I can put this in. Kind of like a phone case, but for your pendant. So I'll be honest, so far I'm pretty impressed. I think we should go ahead and lift something up before we end the video. So me and Bridge are going to find something heavy to lift, and we'll come back and show you guys. All right, we're going to go ahead and pick this hoist up and set it on the pallet. Oh, that's stinking nice. Wow. That brake seems to work really well. If I didn't mention it before, it does come with a certification in the book. So it's been tested and certified, so that's kind of nice. I did put the oil in the hoist. You want to be aware of that. I actually went through the manual and I couldn't find anywhere in the manual where it talks about how to check the oil, how much oil. If there was one thing I could critique so far, it would be that the instructions could probably be a little bit better. But I think part of that comes from, I think it's a foreign company that makes the hoist, and sometimes you get that with the instruction manuals. So just be aware of that. Don't forget to put the oil in your hoist if you order one. Let's see. There. Sure seems smooth so far. All right, so I think that's gonna wrap this one up. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you guys learned something. As I use this hoist, I'll give you guys updates on how I'm liking it, things I like, things I may not like. I'll be honest and upfront with you guys, so go ahead and check them out. Check their website out. Get on Amazon and check them out. There's tons of offerings from this Prowinch company. So I think it's going to be a good addition to the shop. I'm pretty excited about it. So we're going to go ahead and put some hours on this baby and see how she holds up. Thanks again for watching. See you on the next one. Whew. Well, see you on the next one. Stew out. Ooh. That's pretty uncomfortable. Oh, I wouldn't want to hang in one of these for very long. Ugh. I've got my conduit stubbed out of the I've got my conduit stubbed out of the breaker panel. I just got to continue to that way if I decide, so if I ever decide later on down the road that I don't want to use the, so that's pretty cool. I'm really excited not to have a hoist. Goodness, a hoist, so that you don't undersize the wall. All right, that's enough chitty chat. Quit doing that while I'm talking. Okay, you can see all my flaws. Well, what are you laughing at?
Funny.
Goodness, go ahead. Ready? Mm-hmm. Goodness. Quit that. You gotta knock that off. Okay.